Nikkei Asia, 14th of July 2023, the largest dam in the world cannot simply be kept under wraps while China occupies Tibet. Former advisor to India's National Security Council, Brahma Chellaney is a professor emeritus of strategic studies at the Center for Policy Research in New Delhi. 9 of his works have been published, including Water, Asia's New Battleground. China is unrivaled as the hydro hegemon of the globe, operating more significant dams than all other nations combined. It is currently constructing the first super dam in the world, not far from its strongly guarded border with India. With a 60 gigawatt capacity, this megaproject would produce 3 times as much electricity as the Three Gorges Dam, the current most excellent hydropower facility in the world. Since the National People's Congress approved the project in March 2021, China has provided little updates on its status. The concealment of earlier project developments has frequently been used as a pretext for covert action. Beijing has a history of concealing the construction of large dams on foreign rivers until it is no longer possible to do so using publicly accessible satellite images. The megadam is situated in a region that has long been regarded as inaccessible in some of the world's most dangerous terrain. The world's highest altitude significant river here, the Brahmaputra, also known to Tibetans as the Yarlung Tsangpo, descends through the most prolonged and steepest canyon in the world as it makes an abrupt turn southward from the Himalayas into India. The Brahmaputra Gorge, which is twice as deep as the American Grand Canyon, contains Asia's largest untapped water reserves and one of Earth's highest concentrations of river energy due to the river's abrupt descent. Chinese dam builders have been drawn to the combination like a tremendous magnet. The world's riskiest project, though, is the Mammoth Dam since it is being constructed in a seismically active region. This makes it possibly a ticking time bomb for those downstream in Bangladesh and India. Due to its location on the geological fault line where the Indian and Eurasian plates intersect, the southeast region of the Tibetan Plateau is vulnerable to earthquakes. The 2008 Sichuan earthquake, which occurred near the eastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau and claimed 87,000 lives, brought reservoir-triggered seismicity (RDS) to the world's attention. A connection was made between the earthquake and Sichuan's Zipingpu Dam, which was built 2 years earlier next to a seismic fault, by some Chinese and American scientists. They hypothesized that RDS or extremely high tectonic stresses might have been precipitated by the weight of the many 100 million cubic meters of water in the dam's reservoir. The new super dam may still pose a hazard to residents downstream even if there is no earthquake if severe monsoon rains cause flash floods in the Great Bend of the Brahmaputra. Just 2 years ago, the safety of 400 million Chinese people was in jeopardy due to historic flooding that put the Three Gorges Dam in danger. Meanwhile, downriver countries have seen numerous adverse ecological effects from the 11 significant dams that China has constructed on the upper levels of the Mekong, including repeated drought. However, China is currently focusing on utilizing the abundant water resources in the Brahmaputra basin and building more substantial dams on the Mekong. China is concealing its construction work as it moves forward with its contentious megaproject on the Brahmaputra to quell criticism from outside. The National People's Congress was only asked to approve the construction of the super dam after China had constructed the necessary infrastructure to begin moving personnel, supplies, and heavy machinery to the distant site. 2 years ago, Beijing announced that it had completed a highway through the deepest canyon in the world just 2 months after Parliament blessed it. The route comes to an end not far from the Indian border. The opening of a new rail connection from Lhasa to Nyangtri, a frontier military outpost less than 16 kilometers from the India border, was announced by Beijing the next month. In July 2021, President Xi Jinping started a surprise trip to Tibet from Nyangtri and traveled on a brand new train to the provincial center. The construction of the additional infrastructure suggests that work on the dam's foundation likely started covertly after the railroad and highway were completed. The Brahmaputra was one of the last undammed rivers in the world until China started building several medium-sized dams on stretches of the river upstream from the well-known canyon. With its dam construction increasingly encroaching on border regions, China will eventually be able to use transboundary flows in its negotiations with India, a rival. However, Bangladesh will be responsible for most of the environmental damage caused by the megaproject along the remaining section of the river. However, Tibet, one of the globe's biodiverse regions, is also expected to experience environmental devastation. In truth, China will desecrate the canyon region, a significant Tibetan holy site, with its megaproject. Transparency is one of the guiding principles of water peace. China must be transparent due to the massive strategic, environmental, and inter-riparian ramifications of the largest dam ever designed. Due to persistent international pressure, Beijing will only be forced to lift the shroud of secrecy surrounding its program and Chinese malice.